Imagine this scenario for a second. You want to book a really nice dinner to celebrate a special occasion. So you do what we all do, right? You open up your phone and check the internet.
Right. You look for the highest rated spot.
Exactly. And you find this place, the pictures look incredibly avant-garde, but you see that it's booked out for months. Finally, after just relentlessly calling, you manage to get a table.
Oh, that's the best feeling.
Yeah, so you get dressed up, you head to the location, and when you arrive, you realize the absolute #1 restaurant in the city, out of like 18,000 places, is just a guy's overgrown, fox-infested backyard shed.
It honestly sounds like the setup to a surrealist comedy or something. But I mean, that is a documented historical event that happened to real people in London.
Welcome to today's deep dive. We're looking at the almost unbelievable social stress tests conducted by a man named Oobah Butler. Over the past few years, he's essentially made a career out of exposing the fragile illusions that hold our modern world together.
It's a fascinating stuff. We have this stack of sources detailing how he manipulated global review platforms, bypassed the gatekeepers of high fashion, and eventually hacked the elite financial sector.
Our mission today is to unpack a single underlying question that connects all of these incredible stunts. Like, why do human beings consistently trust what a screen tells them more than their own physical senses?
Right, and to understand that, we should jump straight into the narrative, because the origin of this grand deception really sets the stage for everything that follows.
Yeah, let's go back to 2017. Oobah Butler was a 29-year-old freelance writer. He already had a history of, testing the boundaries of social norms.
Like bringing a household microwave into a cinema to make his own popcorn.
Yes, just to see what the ushers would do. He was a guy who liked to poke the system to find its breaking point. But the catalyst for his biggest stunt actually came from a really mundane side hustle.
Right, to make ends meet, Butler used to get paid £10 a pop to write glowing, entirely fabricated TripAdvisor reviews for struggling restaurants.
Oh, which is wild.
It is. He would sit in his bedroom, invent this wonderful dining experience about a place he had never even visited, post it online, and collect his cash.
It's essentially digital alchemy, isn't it? He's turning a 10-pound fiction into pure gold for these businesses. I assume these fake reviews actually, move the needle for them.
Oh, they moved the needle significantly. He watched in real time as his fabricated stories transformed the fortunes of these businesses. They climbed the rankings, their foot traffic increased, and their revenue went up.
All based on a story he typed up in his pajamas.
Exactly. And watching this happen sparked a really profound realization for him about the architecture of online trust. He thought, well, if a review could be completely fabricated to boost a real restaurant.
It stands to reason you could just fabricate the restaurant itself.
That is the exact hypothesis he set out to test. He identified this critical, almost comical vulnerability in the entire online review ecosystem.
What was the blind spot?
Well, platforms like TripAdvisor spend millions of dollars developing these sophisticated algorithms to ensure the reviewer is a real human being. They track IP addresses, look for bots, all of that. But they blindly assume the physical business actually exists.
I mean, because why wouldn't they? The platform assumes no one has the time, energy, or bizarre motivation to build a comprehensive digital footprint for a building that doesn't serve food.
Right. It seems totally counterintuitive to fake a business with no product.
Yeah.
But Butler decided to exploit that exact assumption.
And his canvas for this experiment was literally his own home. A tiny 40-square-meter yard in South London filled with weeds, junk, and feral foxes.
Yeah, so this is where the mechanics of the illusion become fascinating. How do you take a dirty shed and convince a global platform it's a luxury dining destination?
You engineered the digital footprint meticulously. First, he bought a cheap pay-as-you-go mobile phone to serve as the official reservation line. Then, he built a sleek, minimalist website.
He named the place The Shed at Dulwich.
And to appeal to the high-end foodie crowd, he created a menu based on moods rather than ingredients. Like, you wouldn't order chicken, you would order lust or contemplation or empathy.
Which is painfully pretentious.
Yeah.
But it makes it the perfect bait. But, a luxury website needs mouth-watering photography.
Right, and he provided the photography, but the reality behind those images is just a masterclass in visual manipulation.
Oh, it's hilarious. To simulate a high-end dessert, he used a blue toilet bleach tablet, sprayed it with men's shaving foam, and added a drizzle of honey.
Oh, wow. And for another dish, didn't he paint a kitchen sponge?
Yeah, he painted a sponge and plated it elegantly, but the premium ham hock photo is probably the most legendary.
I remember seeing that picture in the source material, the one with the egg.
Yes. If you view the uncropped behind-the-scenes image, it is literally a piece of raw chicken resting on Butler's bare foot with a fried egg balanced on top.
That is so gross.
It is. But when he cropped it tightly, applied a warm filter, and uploaded it, it looked like a rustic Michelin star dish. Our brains just fill in the context. We see nice lighting and a sleek website, so we assume the meat is resting on an artisanal wooden board, not a human foot.
So he has the website, the phone, the photos. Now he needs the reviews to climb the algorithm. He calls in his friends to write them, but he gives them a very specific formula, right?
Right. They had to emphasize the outdoor dining aspect to cover for the fact that it's in a yard. They had to mention quirky service. And crucially, every single review had to state that the restaurant was strictly appointment only.
Okay, I want to challenge the logic of that appointment-only rule for a second. In almost any other aspect of life, a lack of transparency breeds suspicion.
True.
Like if I'm looking for a mechanic and they refuse to give me their address, I assume it's a scam. Why did people look at a restaurant with no address and assume it was a luxury destination?
Because luxury is the one sector where the normal rules of transparency are totally inverted. In the luxury market, friction equals value. By keeping the address hidden, he bypassed the critical thinking part of the consumer's brain.
So if he had published the address, people would have checked Google Street View, seen a residential street, and moved on.
Exactly. But by saying, "Contact us for an invitation," he created a velvet rope. When real people started calling that cheap trap phone, Butler would answer, act incredibly stressed, and say, "I'm so sorry, we're fully booked for the next 3 months."
So the rejection itself is the marketing. By telling them they can't have it, he's basically proving to them that it's highly desirable.
The mystery became the product. Scarcity triggered this deep-seated fear of missing out. The people calling didn't actually want the food. They wanted the status of accessing a closed space.
And driven by this perfectly engineered illusion of exclusivity, within 6 months, the Shed at Dulwich bypassed 18,000 other establishments to become the absolute #1 ranked restaurant in London.
A shed with an egg on a foot. Ranked higher than restaurants with celebrity chefs and millions in real estate.
It's unbelievable. But the tension here has to peak, right? He's at #1. The phone isn't just ringing with curious locals anymore.
No, the sources mention a 70-year-old man calling to book a birthday dinner 4 months in advance. Prominent food critics like Jay Rayner are sniffing around.
The pressure was immense. The illusion is becoming too heavy to sustain digitally. To bring the project to a close, he realized he had to actually open the physical doors for one night only.
So he clears out the junk, sets up some tables, and selects 20 random callers from his massive wait list. He even rents live chickens to roam the yard to give it that authentic, rustic feel.
But he's not a chef. He has no kitchen. What on earth is he feeding these people?
He goes to Iceland, which is a budget supermarket in the UK, and buys a bulk load of microwave-ready meals that cost £1 each.
You're kidding.
No, like frozen macaroni and cheese, vegetable lasagna. He heats them up and plates them with some fresh garnish.
But wait. When these guests arrive at the GPS coordinates, they are standing outside a normal, slightly run-down residential house. How does he get them into the backyard without breaking the spell?
He leans even harder into the pretension. He meets them down the street and tells them the location is so exclusive they must wear blindfolds to approach the property.
Seriously?
Yeah. He literally leads them by the hand, blindfolded, through his messy house, past his roommates, and out into the yard.
I mean, if I am blindfolded and led through a stranger's house in South London, I'm calling the police. I'm not expecting a Michelin star experience.
But again, it comes down to the context he built. They wanted to be part of an avant-garde experience, so they interpreted the blindfolds as eccentric genius rather than a massive red flag.
And the climax of the night is just staggering. He serves them the £1 frozen dinners, and the guests are thrilled.
They were. They take photos of the food, they soak up the atmosphere. At the end of the evening, some of them even pull Butler aside and ask if they can get priority booking for their next visit.
The story of the Emperor's New Clothes comes to mind, but this is almost darker. Like, are people so terrified of seeming uncultured that they will happily eat a frozen dinner in a dirty shed and call it a masterpiece?
It goes deeper than just avoiding embarrassment. It's about how people buy into a story. The representation of a thing actually becomes more real than the thing itself.
So for those diners, the TripAdvisor ranking and the website were the reality.
Right. The physical taste of the frozen macaroni was secondary. They were consuming the story not the food.
That makes TripAdvisor's response to the stunt incredibly ironic, because when Butler revealed the hoax, the company released a statement saying, essentially, that the system isn't broken because no one in the real world has a financial incentive to create a fake restaurant.
They completely missed the point of the experiment. They treated it as a minor technical glitch in their platform.
But he wasn't exposing a glitch in their code, he was exposing a glitch in human psychology.
Exactly. If you construct a compelling enough narrative online, people will physically experience that narrative in the real world, regardless of the objective truth.
So if social proof can completely fabricate a physical location out of thin air, what happens when you apply that exact same manipulation to human expertise and status?
Well, that question leads directly to his next stress test. He decided to hack the high society world of physical fashion. Butler reasoned that if a fake restaurant could conquer the culinary world, a fake brand could conquer Paris Fashion Week.
But he doesn't invent a brand from scratch this time, does he?
No, he finds a local market stall run by a Zambian immigrant named Adam Asmal. Adam sells a cheap, knockoff brand of jeans called Giorgio Paviani. It's a completely unknown budget product.
But Butler understands that high fashion isn't about the denim, it's about the packaging. So he prints up some sleek business cards claiming to be the designer, Giorgio Paviani.
Right. He buys a flashy outfit, flies to Paris, and walks right up to the registration desk at Fashion Week.
Now, don't they vet these people? I would imagine gaining entry to one of the most exclusive industry events in the world requires, I don't know, background checks, a portfolio, or at least a verifiable company registry.
You would assume so, but gatekeepers in these industries rarely check databases. They check social signals. When Butler walks up, he projects absolute authority.
He acts like he belongs.
Exactly. He's dressed correctly, his tone is commanding, and he hands over a well-designed card. The gatekeeper's brain registers those signals and concludes, oh, this person belongs here. Within minutes, they print him an official buyer's badge.
And from there, he bluffs his way into a Vivienne Westwood party. He walks up to top models and influencers, hands them a pair of cheap market jeans, and confidently dictates that they need to try them on.
And they do. They wear the jeans, they praise the cut, and buyers from Milan actually start asking about wholesale orders.
Within 3 days, major European fashion outlets are publishing articles hailing Giorgio Paviani as the avant-garde designer to watch. The physical jeans did not change. The stitching was the same. The fabric was the same. Only the context changed.
It's incredible. Handed over at a market stall, they are cheap. Handed over by a confident man with a badge at a Vivienne Westwood party, they are luxury.
To everyone listening, think about the clothes in your closet right now. Think about the brand of jeans you're wearing. Did you buy them because the cotton quality is objectively superior, or because an entire ecosystem of marketing and influencers told you that wearing them means something specific about your identity?
It's a slightly uncomfortable question to ask yourself. I mean, we are all susceptible to context.
Which makes the subsequent twist even funnier. Butler creates this fake persona, gets famous for doing these stunts, and then gets exhausted by the media demanding interviews. So he literally starts outsourcing his own identity.
The doppelganger phase. It's so funny. When a TV station in Australia wanted to interview him, he sent his brother Pete, who looks somewhat similar, but clearly isn't him.
Didn't he send someone else to India?
Yeah, for an interview in India, he hired a male model. He even sent a Norwegian actor to accept a journalism award on his behalf in a room full of media professionals.
And nobody stops the broadcast. Nobody says, wait, this isn't the guy from the photos.
Because the media apparatus doesn't actually care about the authentic human being.
Yeah.
The producers just need a character to fill a 5-minute segment. As long as the person sitting in the chair has blonde hair and answers to the name Oobah, the criteria are met. The symbol of the person replaces the actual person.
So we've seen him manipulate food, fashion, and his own identity. But the final source material covers the highest stakes evolution of his experiments. He moves from hacking social status to hacking the concept of modern finance itself.
This is where it gets crazy. He travels to New York City, rents a tiny cockroach-infested apartment for $2,700 a month, and sets out to create immense financial value entirely out of thin air.
He builds a portfolio of absolute nonsense. He tries to sell a literal stick from a garden for 500 pounds.
A stick.
Yes, and he creates an ethical sweatshop where children scribble designs on T-shirts and he lists them for 100 pounds. He even pays a freelance writer to publish a fake profile of him on a regional Forbes website just so he has a link that says Forbes.
He is generating the aesthetic of a disruptive entrepreneur. And this culminates in him taking meetings with real investors, pitching them a completely abstract concept.
He asks them to invest $1 million in exchange for a 10% stake in his future earnings.
He's pitching himself as a startup. He is the asset. And remarkably, one investor signs the term sheet.
This is where I need you to break down the mechanics, because I am trying to reason this out and it feels like magic. He gets one guy to sign a piece of paper agreeing to this valuation. He doesn't actually receive $1 million in cash.
Right.
So how does a signature suddenly translate to a bank telling him he's eligible for an $8 million loan? Banks are notoriously risk-averse.
It seems like magic, but it is the exact playbook used by the ultra-wealthy. Think of it like this. Imagine you draw a rough sketch of a massive mansion on a napkin.
Okay.
You find an appraiser who looks at the napkin and says, yes, if this were built, it would be worth $10 million, and signs a document certifying that valuation. You then take that certified napkin to a bank, and they give you an $8 million mortgage based on the drawing.
But the house doesn't exist. The revenue doesn't exist.
In high finance, perceived equity is treated as hard collateral. By getting an investor to agree that 10% of Butler's future is worth $1 million, a mathematical reality is created on paper. Butler's total enterprise value is now $10 million. The bank doesn't look at his checking account. They look at his asset sheet. They see a $10 million asset and are more than happy to offer an $8 million line of credit against it.
This completely upends how everyday people think about money. We think you have to earn cash, pay taxes on it, and then spend what's left.
Exactly. And that is the trap of the working class. If Butler had actually worked for years to generate $1 million in pure profit, the government would take nearly half of it in income tax. But loans are not considered income.
Right.
By borrowing $8 million against a fabricated valuation, he gets access to massive capital while legally paying zero tax. He proved that the elite, deeply complex financial system is just as easily manipulated by confidence and packaging as the reviewers on TripAdvisor.
Let's pull all of these threads together. We started in a feral, fox-infested backyard in South London, serving frozen macaroni to people wearing blindfolds. We bypassed the security at Paris Fashion Week using a cheap market brand.
And you ended up in New York.
Right, unlocking access to an $8 million bank loan based on nothing but a fabricated asset sheet and sheer, unadulterated confidence.
The underlying through line here is that human society operates almost entirely on social proof. From deciding where to eat, to defining what is beautiful, to determining what is financially valuable, we outsource our critical thinking to the crowd.
And if someone understands how to manipulate the signals of that crowd, they can essentially bend reality to their will.
So to you listening right now, take a look around your world today. When you see a 5-star review for a must-have gadget, or a luxury brand that signals high status, or a tech startup with a multi-billion-dollar valuation...
Oh, wait, let me jump in here. The question is, are you seeing objective truth, or are you just looking at an egg resting on a guy's foot?
I love that. In an era of endless digital information, regaining trust in our own physical senses and critical thinking is more important than ever.
Which leaves us with one final thought to ponder. If a prankster in his 20s can expose the fragility of global review algorithms, high fashion gatekeepers, and international finance with nothing but a garden shed, a pay-as-you-go phone, and some blonde hair, what else in the architecture of our society is just a well-constructed illusion waiting for someone to turn on the microwave?